Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon, starting the new year on assignment in Arizona.
I'm Tony Kornheiser. What time does this assignment tee off exactly?
Well, you know, if I could get you in and out of the attic on time, I might have a little daylight left, you know, for maybe 12 to 14 holes. That's pretty good.
What do you got? You got 65 and clear there in Arizona today for the next week or so?
For the record, 66 and clear, just so you don't dock us a degree.
Oh, great. 66 and clear. It's wonderful. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, the Bills and Packers roll into the playoffs while the Bears crab walk in backwards. But we begin today with the Washington football team making the playoffs, in part because the Philadelphia Eagles put a third-string quarterback out there in crunch time for no apparent reason. Nate Sudfeld, who hadn't played a down all year, turned the ball over twice in the first two series he played. Later, Eagles coach Doug Peterson said, quote, "I was coaching to win. I felt Nate deserved an opportunity to get some snaps," unquote. Wilbon, was Peterson coaching to win?
No, he lied. No, he wasn't coaching to win, and maybe that was ordered from on high. I mean, you don't know how organizations work and what they value at a certain time. But no, and when I watched Peterson's post-game live, because I wanted to see what he was going to say, how he was going to handle that. Because I don't care about the Giants. They don't owe the Giants anything. But he owes his own team something, the guys in his locker room in that huddle. And when he started ticking off the starters who were on the field, and then he gets to the quarterback, it's like, wait a minute. If you're going to sit here and use as evidence all the starters who are out there, what about the quarterback, including a guy you need to see in these situations going forward to find out if he's the franchise quarterback? No, it was just a big fat lie. He wasn't coaching to win. There was another agenda. He clearly isn't going to be honest about it, but there was something else.
Yeah, so I think this is an integrity issue. I would like to see the NFL say he wasn't coaching to win. We're going to fine him $1 million. I think it's also an arrogance issue. I think Doug Peterson was very, very arrogant about this. You take out Jalen Hurts. He's a guy who has run for 2 touchdowns in that game. He's given you your points, and you say, I want to see Nate Sudfeld have some snaps. You ought to want to see what Jalen Hurts can do in a crunch time situation with some snaps, because he's only played 3 games for you, and you got to make a decision on him. You've already made a decision on Nate Sudfeld. He can't play. You don't know if Jalen Hurts has a major league arm yet. You're not exactly sure. So you don't take him out. And, I mean, people will say, I made a list of this. People will say, well, they had nothing to play for. A lot of teams had nothing to play for yesterday, right? The Falcons were trying, the Texans were trying, the 49ers were trying, the Chargers were trying. And to your point, Mike, if you watch the Jets when they won a game a couple of weeks ago, that meant a lot to players. If I'm a Philadelphia Eagles player, I feel my coach has undercut me. I feel he's let me down. Yes.
Tony, if I'm a starter, all right, and I could be injured and break a leg, and it could be my last play anytime. I'm out there trying at the end of that game, and he puts Sudfeld out there. At least just have the conviction when you walk to the lectern and the microphone after the game and say, I wanted to see this guy have some snaps. This is like senior night. I wanted him to have a chance. Just say that and live with it. Don't lie and say, I was trying to win, because your actions undercut your words. They really did.
See, they could have won. Washington can't score.
They could have won.
Washington doesn't have any offense.
They could have won the game. That's right.
If you leave Hurts in there, you're 1 touchdown away from winning. I mean, look, am I happy for Washington? I live in Washington. I'm happy for Washington. This is a bogus thing that happened.
I'm sort of happy that it involves the Eagles, who, as you know, I'm sick of all of them. All of them, starting with Pennsylvania. What state is he going to tack on to his name next? Because he ain't going to be in Pennsylvania if they have a brain, and I'm not sure they do. The AFC featured several games of consequence yesterday. The Browns made the playoffs for the first time in 18 years by just sort of sliding past the Steelers. The Bills blasted the Dolphins, killed them by 30, eliminating Miami from postseason contention. The Bills will now face the Colts, who earned a wild card spot with a win over the Jaguars. And the Titans won the AFC South when Sam Sloman's field goal attempt doinked, not double doinked, doinked through the uprights, Tony, which of these teams had the biggest win?
Well, I mean, the Buffalo win was the biggest win in terms of being impressive. They dismantled Miami. They put 1,000 points on them. And by the way, if I'm running Miami now, after what I've seen the last 2 to 3 weeks, I'm not sure Tua is my franchise quarterback.
Not certain.
I really wish I could have
That's
gone back and gotten Justin Herbert, and because he might be my franchise quarterback had I drafted him. But the biggest win was Cleveland, because Cleveland hasn't been in the playoffs in 18 years, and Cleveland for the last 8 to 10 years has been a running joke. They fire coaches all the time. They get nothing right. I really, you can say that Pittsburgh didn't play everybody, but they announced before the game that they weren't going to play a lot of people. But Cleveland still had to win that game. And Cleveland had all these coronavirus issues. Mike, I know you've been hard on Baker Mayfield for quite some time, but at the end of that game, he ran for a bunch of first downs. He held on to the ball. He kept the sticks moving. That felt like a big game for him.
Tony, I have been rough on Baker Mayfield, justifiably so, because Baker Mayfield for a long time behaved like a fool. And I know he's young and immature and you get a chance to grow up, and it seems Baker Mayfield has done that. The narrative hasn't changed. He changed it by the way he's played and also, as far as I'm concerned, by the way he's conducted himself. And so, look, Tony, I spent a lot of time in Cleveland covering sports over the last few decades. And I know what that city's like when their teams are good. It pulsates in a way that a lot of other more overrated, larger cities get credit for how great their fan bases are. And it's Cleveland that's a great fan base in everything. I've been there when the Indians have won, or close. I've been there, obviously when LeBron has won. And now for the Cleveland Browns, great win. But Tony, the most impressive win came from the Buffalo Bills, who looked like I would walk down the dark alley with them to play Kansas City any day. And I think the Bills can and very well may beat the Chiefs if they play them in the playoffs. And I tell you what else, the Ravens. I'll walk with either one of those teams in the dark of night to play the Chiefs. I understand the Chiefs are the favorite at 14-2. They've earned it. But the Buffalo Bills look like a team that'll walk out, take their jacket off, and fight you to the death.
Let me just mention the other two things. Tennessee, that was a really great game to watch. They got a Hail Mary when it wasn't called a Hail Mary by Tannehill. And then they got, as you say, the guy, the substitute kicker, doinks it off the side and it goes in. Oh. But I can't figure, Indianapolis is the least flashy, least scary 11-5 team I have ever seen. I have no read whatsoever on the Indianapolis Colts. Absolutely none. Wilbon, congratulations. Your Bears are in the playoffs, but not because of anything they did yesterday. They were soundly beaten by Green Bay, 35-16. Aaron Rodgers, who has to be the MVP, threw 4 touchdowns to 4 different receivers, had a passer rating of 147.9. I'm not a math major, but that sounds like a lot. Do the Packers look like the Super Bowl favorite to you?
In the NFC, sure. I mean, I think they look better than New Orleans, and I'm not sure about New Orleans and its situation in terms of health coming out of this past weekend, even though they're going to get a couple of big studs back for Sunday's wild card game, playoff game with the Bears. I'm going with the Packers, Tony. You have to. You mentioned that Aaron Rodgers has to be the MVP. Well, if you're the MVP in professional sports, usually, and you're the quarterback of a team, your team ought to be the team to beat. And so I don't know how you look at, and also that defense has gotten better. I know there were questions about the Packers defense earlier in the season. There shouldn't be any more. They gave up 1 touchdown on the road. Granted, the Bears are so offensively challenged, but they gave up 1 offensive touchdown yesterday. Yeah, I think that the Green Bay Packers look like the clear number 1 seed. Could they be upset by Seattle in Green Bay? Yes, they could, but I'm going with the Packers, and I'm willing to bet everything that you are too.
This is interesting because the question was, do they look like the Super Bowl favorites? And then you isolated it to the NFC. If I am looking big picture, if I am looking big picture, I am looking at Kansas City. I understand they haven't pounded people like maybe they could, but I think they have fewer flaws than any other team, and I think they have better players. I heard what you said about Baltimore, heard what you said about Buffalo. I agree with that. Buffalo looks great, and Baltimore, if they get any kind of a playoff run from Lamar Jackson, who's been terrible in playoffs so far, they could run everybody out of the gym. But I'll go to the NFC, and I'll agree with you about Green Bay for this reason. Home field, but not because of fans. Home field because of weather. January in Green Bay is brutal for other teams. New Orleans is a dome team. I know they get Kamara back. I know they get Michael Thomas back. I don't know how they'll do outdoors. Tampa Bay is a Florida team. I know that Brady and Gronkowski have won in cold weather, obviously. I don't know about everybody else. And you mentioned Seattle. Seattle, to me, honestly, Mike, lately is underwhelming. I know they win games, but they're underwhelming to me. They are.
They only got to be whelming for one day. They got to be whelming for 60 minutes. And they can do that because they got their own weather. And not scared to go up to Green Bay and play in that weather. So
no, but you know, Aaron
Tony,
Rodgers
here's the other thing.
has been
Kansas City's got a tougher road. KC's got a tougher road to go.
Yeah, because the AFC is better. They're better at this point. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, this is going to be his 5th NFC Championship game and the first one in Green Bay. Let's take a break. Coming up, several NFL coaches are shown the door. Which open job is the best one?
And Alabama is favored, of course, over the Buckeyes. But which is the more impressive team right now?
It's mail time, where we do it for the kids. Let me see who's first here.
Mail time? Whose kids we doing this
The
for?
kids.
Jerry's
Which
kids?
NFL job is the most attractive, Wilbon?
Tony, as you know, there seems like there's, a new job coming open every day, and particularly today, where you have situations like Jacksonville becoming, clear for a new landing. The Jets last night. I mean, you've got now some decent-looking jobs out there, Tony, but I don't think anything is great. I don't think the Jaguar situation is great, even though you can go in with the number 1 overall pick, the golden boy quarterback of the future from Clemson. You can do all that. I'm going to say actually Atlanta. Even though I don't believe you have to have Matt Ryan, you can move on for there. Of the situations I'm looking at, their cupboard seems less bare than other places like Houston. While they have a great quarterback, the previous regime gave away every other great player. So I'm going to say I'd like Atlanta's situation more than the others.
See, I was surprised earlier today when the Chargers fired Anthony Lynn. They had won 4 games in a row, and I thought they were going to stay with him, even though he had lost so many close games after the last 2 years. So because that opened up, and because they have Justin Herbert, who has proven as a first-year player that he's a really good quarterback, and you need a really good quarterback, I'm going to go with that. My second choice would have been Houston because of Deshaun Watson. Look, Trevor Lawrence may turn out to be great, but if you take that job, in 2 years, if you're no good, they boot you just when they're going to get good. So.
Unless your name is Urban Meyer, they're not going to boot him after just 2 years, right?
All right. Which college team is more impressive to you right now, Alabama or Ohio State?
Tony, if I had to go with who the best team is right now, it still looks like Alabama. I know their defense is statistically a little bit challenged, actually, particularly pass defense. But Ohio State, I mean, coming off that win and kicking Dabo Swinney's butt after he ran his mouth about essentially their 11th. Well, if they're 11th and they kicked your butt all over the yard, what are you? So Ohio State coming off that win, and particularly when that whole offense, starting with the quarterback, was challenged about how good they were after they struggled against the Northwestern University, I'll still take Ohio State. That's a hell of a rebound act, don't you think?
Yeah, well, they've looked great in 1 game in a row. Can they look great in 2 games in a row? I mean, when they played Northwestern, they didn't look good at all. The quarterback, Justin Fields, looked less than ordinary. Now, he just had a great game, and you're right. Dabo Swinney opened up his fat yap and has 20 feet in it. But Alabama, over the course of the year, Alabama is the more impressive team. And they've beaten Florida, Georgia, Notre Dame, Texas A&M. So, Alabama right now, although they can be beaten, we've heard enough from the kids. Let's take one last break, but still to come. Did Texas make the right decision to dump Tom Herman for Steve Sarkisian?
Texas. And should we look at Steph Curry's 62 as an aberration or a sign of things to come? Nobody strings 62s. It's an aberration.
The Texas thing was really a surprise to me. He's 4-0 in bowl. Happy time, people. Happy 27th birthday, Derrick Henry, the most physical running back in the NFL. Henry will run by you or through you. It's your choice. Henry won the Heisman Trophy at Alabama and continued his greatness as a pro. For the second straight year, he led the league in rushing yards, this year with 2,027, and he was first in rushing touchdowns with 17. Henry would probably be getting MVP buzz if the Titans hadn't wheezed a bit at the end of the season. You can do a highlight tape of Henry stiff-arming aspiring tacklers and reducing them to clowns.
Josh Norman particularly, who likes to run his mouth about all the stuff he can do. But Derrick Henry, man, Tony, it's also a case of good coaching. Because you can get caught up in trends and say, well, you got to throw the ball now. You can't use this old-fashioned running back. And Vrabel and his staff, good for them that they recognize the special talent that they have and they use them.
Happy anniversary, Indianapolis Colts. On this day 7 years ago, Andrew Luck led the Colts back from a 38-10 third-quarter deficit to beat the Chiefs 45-44 in the wild card round of the playoffs. This was one of those games where people said Andrew Luck is going to be an all-timer, but injuries drove him out of the game. Luck missed the 2017 season with a shoulder injury, came back in 2018, but retired just before the 2019 season. In 6 seasons, Luck was 53-33 as a starter, threw 171 touchdowns and 83 interceptions, and made 4 Pro Bowls. And now he is a ghost.
Tony, it's not good for the league to lose Andrew Luck. And now when you look at Cam Newton and you look at the brilliance that has been there, the athleticism, all the charisma, all that he is and what the league thrives on, and that's great quarterback play and great quarterback personalities. And we don't know if we're going to have Cam Newton. He's taken so many shots over his career, but no Luck and Cam diminished. That's not good for the NFL, no matter how many people are coming up behind you. Those two guys should have been marquee players for another, 6-7 years at least?
We would like to give a melancholy trails to 4 Hall of Famers who died in the period of time when we were off the air. Phil Niekro, who won 318 games for the Braves, Indians, Yankees, and Blue Jays over 24 seasons. Casey Jones, who won 10 championships with teammate Bill Russell, 2 in college at the University of San Francisco, and 8 more with the Celtics. Then later coached the Larry Bird Celtics to championships in 1984 and 1986. Paul Westphal, a great player and 5-time All-Star with the Celtics and Phoenix Suns, who won a title with Boston in 1974 as a player, and then coached the Suns to the NBA Finals in 1993. And Floyd Little, the great all-purpose running back who was a 3-time All-American at Syracuse and rushing champion and 5-time Pro Bowler with the Denver Broncos.
Tony, it just seemed like one gut punch after another over the weekend. You and I talked a couple of times, losing these men. We knew a couple more than others. Casey Jones, thank you to David Dupree. Because of that relationship, I got to be around and listen to the great Casey Jones. And being here in Arizona, Tony, Paul Westphal is a sort of Mount Rushmore figure in sports here. And through Charles Barkley and Eddie Johnson and other friends of mine in the NBA, I got to be around Paul Westphal some. And just a delightful man as a player and coach. And it's just another difficult weekend losing the people that we've lost.
And a bonus happy trails to Dan Le Batard. We want to recognize Dan Le Batard's last day at ESPN by sharing with you some of his notable appearances as a guest host on this program. He was the best and most annoying fill-in we ever had, as he tried to sabotage the show all the time and redirect it towards himself, and we loved him for it.
The BAMs are making me laugh right now, Tony, because you and I, of course, know Le Batard, not when he was a broadcast star, but a damn good, great columnist for the Miami Herald.
That's
and
right.
All that flowed from that. And so that is how I'm always going to think of Dan Le Batard, as I go, bam!
One omission. The Nets say Kevin Durant is out tomorrow against the Jazz for health and safety protocols, and we go now to the big finish.
Let's do it.
Sean McVay says he's not sure whether Jared Goff will be healthy enough to play against the Seahawks on Saturday. Your thoughts?
I know the Rams got past the Cardinals yesterday without him, but they're going to need Goff, I believe, to win that playoff game against Seattle. Texas fired Tom Herman, hired Alabama offensive coordinator Steve Sarkisian. Does that make sense to you?
Herman was 32-18 and 4-0 in bowl games. What is Texas thinking? What did Texas think? Steph Curry had a career-high 62 in a win over the Blazers. Is that a big deal?
Yeah, Tony. Only Wilt, Baylor, Kobe, Jordan have scored that many multiple times. I don't know if Steph can do it again, but they seem on the right track now at Golden State again. Wizards beat the Nets. You were so excited. Did it make sense to you?
Yeah, Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant missed open shots in the last 5 seconds. Good. Last one, the Sixers lead the East at 5-1. Will they beat the Hornets tonight?
Doc Rivers has got his guys and pointing in the right direction. Yes, they beat the Hornets tonight, Tony.
Out of time, trying to do better the next time, and I'm Tony Kornheiser.
I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow, Knuckleheads. You can get the PTI podcast on the ESPN app or Apple Podcasts. And now, here is SportsCenter.
Rustic Farm Market, Rustic Acres Farm Market, Delaware, shout out.